movies from various genres and decades. Stay tuned for this episode. Hello, everyone. We're here in basically a new year of MovieNaut, and we decided new year, new date. The episodes are now going to be aired on the final Friday of every month instead of the third Friday of every month. So with that, we're doing a part two to our favorite cult classic films from the 21st century. And I think I'm going to let Bill go first.
Okay. New year, new millennium, really, I guess, right? All right, so my first movie, I haven't done very many wrestling movies, so I decided to rectify that this time. And it was a movie called The Wrestler that came out in 2008. I believe it was Mickey Rourke starred in it. He got really buff for it. And he basically plays an aging wrestler who used to be in one of the big promotions. They don't name the big promotions, of course, but now he's in the indie circuit. And I actually have friends in the indie circuit, and we all convene and talk about these things. And this depicts what it's like to be an indie wrestler on the indie circuit very well. He depicts himself as very much an outsider to society. I think a lot of wrestlers feel that way, particularly in the indie circuit. And he has a day job where he works at a grocery store. They offer him full time, but he can't take it because he wrestles on the weekends, right? If you're at a grocery store, and I've worked at a grocery store, you have to work weekends pretty much, if you're full time anyway. And then the other part of the story is he's trying to get back with his daughter, his estranged daughter. And, when that doesn't really work out as well as he wants it to, he also starts having health issues because he's aging and he's still trying to wrestle. So he tries to quit wrestling and do the full time at the grocery store and tells him, yeah, I can work the weekends. And, you can probably imagine how that works out too, because again, he doesn't really fit into society. He's just an outsider. But it's really an interesting story. I believe Mickey Rourke, if he didn't win, I believe he's at least nominated for Best Actor in this thing. And it's a really good story. And don't get it confused with the 1970s version of The Wrestler, which is also a really good wrestling movie. But there was another one then that was with the AWA. Vern Gagne did that one, but it had nothing. The plot has nothing to do with one another. But that's also a really fun movie that I probably will do on another night. But this really knocked it out of the park for a lot of wrestling movies. It's one of the better ones. It's a shallow pool of wrestling movies. There's only a couple of them that are really good.
Right.
This is one of them. It's definitely worth checking. He plays the Ram, by the way, is his wrestling character name. And he comes off the top rope with like this headbutt, as a ram. Anyway, it's a good picture. It should be checked out if you're a wrestling fan. If you're not a wrestling fan, you want to know what it's like to be a wrestler, you should probably check it out for that because it's really good at depicting that as well.
Okay. I remember hearing about that movie, but I never saw it. But, I guess now I'll have to.
Yes. Definitely worth checking out.
Okay. This time I'm going to go next. And I'm going to pick from the year 2000, Ginger Snaps. Now, Ginger Snaps is about these two sisters. One of them was named Ginger, and they're very morbid. They were always doing stuff all around town, like some, there was like one scene when it looks like they had like a fence post right through their chest, and it's like basically they were kind of like outcasts of the town because of their being so morbid, and it goes about fine until one day Ginger gets bit by a wolf and she changes, and someone was saying that this one, out of almost all the werewolf movies, kind of really focus more on how this is kind of like something like puberty. You're going through changes in your body, and this was actually a really good werewolf movie because they in the '90s there wasn't really that many good ones, and this was a good way to kind of restart a lot of that and kind of give a new a new way of it being done. And it had a couple sequels, but this one was the best one out of all of them. I mean, none of them were bad. It's just this one was, I mean, because um, and it looks like they did a lot of practical effects. So there was no CGI on this, which that's what I love about it. Because yeah, sometimes the practical effects do, you see faults, but the thing is it's just a labor of love that goes into it. But if you love werewolf movies, this is one of the I think one of the great ones of
I,
all time.
I've heard really good things about that one. I've wanted to see it, but I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, it really if you don't want to take a deep dive and do a blind buy on it, it's on an app called AMC Plus, which I believe it's Shutter. I believe it's on Shutter too.
Yeah, Shudder's really good for a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't have it yet.
Well, the AMC Plus thing, I mean, not plugging them. It has Shutter and it has Sundance, all kind of like a little conglomerate of uh, channels that probably are related to each other, probably the same parent company.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, I've heard of that movie too, but I didn't really know that much about it. But it
Yeah,
sounds really good.
yeah. They classify it as an unknown animal because you don't really see it, but her transformation is really amazing. And the girl that plays Ginger is actress named Catherine Isabel. Well, she's been in a lot of really cool horror movies. I mean, what is that? She played a doctor, something Mary, uh, and that was a good one. I almost picked that one, but uh, American Mary, and it was a basically it was a Canadian body horror movie, American Mary, but anyways, Ginger Snaps, really good one. I I recommend it for people that love a really good werewolf movie. And you're up.
Right. Um, before I get started, you know what? I realized just now I could have done, but it would have been off brand for me. But I'm a huge let the hate mail or hate messages roll in, but I'm a huge fan of like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And so for the 2000s, I really could pick a ton of those movies. Some of those are my favorite movies. But then again, I don't really think they're cult movies. They're pretty much big budget, big box office movies. So they
Sure.
wouldn't apply anyway. And it's kind of off brand for me because I go with the horror stuff. But I just wanted to mention I'm a massive fan of the Marvel
Oh, I
Cinematic
am.
Universe.
I
It's
Me
was
like,
too.
late to the game, but I watched some of them, and some of those are really good movies. They really are put together well. Good, not just action, but character development and
oh
everything. They
yeah.
actually put it all together pretty well.
Yeah.
I
I
was
mean, I
surprised when I
think
started.
probably my five favorite movies of all time are MCU movies. So, but and then, like I said, let the hate messages roll on because it's cool to hate on those movies. But um, I'm going to start with a movie from 2001, Jeepers Creepers, which I one of the things I love about that movie is you've got these kids, his sister and brother driving down the road, and they see something really crazy, and they decide to try to see what they can do about it to try to help some people that think somebody's been abducted. I love the fact that in the beginning, it really seems like it could be some kind of slasher, mad kidnapper movie. And then it turns into something much bigger and much darker and much creepier. And that truck and the truck horn are just so creepy. Um, the whole movie just really it sets a great tone and then just keeps getting deeper and deeper into it. And it doesn't waste much time really getting to the creepy stuff either. Sometimes you get a lot of character development that doesn't really have anything to do with forwarding the plot, which annoys me. As a writer, I tend to be somebody who my theory is you can put character development in there, but it really, really should be forwarding the plot at the same time because it should be, I'm sort of minimalist in that. And so I get really annoyed when they put scenes in that are just character development. You don't have much of that in this movie. There is character development, but it's generally contained in the stuff that's happening to further the plot, which
You
I
weave it
love.
in, you weave it into the story, which is what you're
Exactly.
supposed to do. That's the best.
Yeah. So Jeepers Creepers is my first pick. I really really like that movie a lot. The sequels sort of went downhill one by one, but they're decent. But the
Used
second
to be
one
good.
I think is pretty good. The third one not nearly as good. And I never saw the Reborn one when they rebooted the series or whatever they did.
Now,
That's another one.
did you get the when you were starting to watch it the a Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe
Yeah, I can see that.
or a seventies horror movie vibe? I mean
Yeah, yeah, I can absolutely see that.
that I mean I guess because of the being placed in the countryside and then
He was
the
driving a vintage car.
yeah and they both were the kids
Yeah,
and so I just had that feel and I was like going oh wow this is cool
yeah.
and I like the mythology
Oh yeah,
of the character of the creature I should say
yeah.
I like that I mean that was one of the things I love when they give you a mythology of it it's like
Right.
what was it supposed to come back every 23 years or something
23, 26, something like that. Yeah.
some and that's cool like maybe some like maybe a lunar cycle or something but
Although
I
that's almost an it kind of thing too.
yeah I mean but still I think that's kind of cool it's like so it
Yeah.
lays dormant and then comes up
Which
uh
goes all the way back. I can think of an earlier movie, and I bet there are even earlier ones, from the 70s, made for TV movie Gargoyles.
yeah
Also, they were on a cycle of every so many years. I think it was like every few hundred years or something with that. But yeah.
that's actually that was I remember that one scared the crap out of me gargoyles when I was a kid
Oh, I
watching that
love that movie
on
when I was a
TV
kid. It's a
watching
great
that on
movie.
TV watching it on TV all right back to you Mr. Bill.
Okay, back up to me. My second movie. I did a lot of later 2000 this time, I noticed. So I'm up to 2014. It's another horror comedy. What We Do in the Shadows. It's a very subdued vampire movie. And it's kind of like a Spinal Tap for vampires kind of thing. It's supposed to be. It's actually well, instead of a documentary though, it's supposed to be a reality TV show and they play it very well. They have the various vampires talking to the camera, and they all give their stories about how they became vampires. One of them looks like Nosferatu with the pointed ears and everything. He's supposed to be the oldest one, and then another one, he looks like he's 40, and he says he was, whatever age you're killed at, you're that age forever. And he says he was killed at 16, and he looks at the camera and he says, back in the 1600s, there were 16 very tough years. He's got like a 5 o'clock shadow and everything. But anyway, there's a lot of goofy comedy stuff like that. Very subtle, subdued comedy, which I kind of like. They also have this gang of werewolves that they always fight with. Come up and fight with them, and they had this encounter with the werewolves, and one of the vampires pulls out a squeak toy and squeaks it and throws it, and then one of them jumps after. Just goofy stuff like that through the whole thing. And it actually inspired a TV show that was another. They used a whole different cast and different vampires, but the TV show was okay, but the movie's a lot better. definitely worth checking out. Um, and some parts they play a little bit straight, but they all have their characters and everything. They played it pretty well. It's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend checking it out. And they still do the dark scenes really well, the shadows and darkness and in the castle that they live in and everything. So it's oh, and I forgot one of the vampires is also what is it, an emotional vampire? He's like in a suit and tie and he just talks really monotone and brings everybody down whenever he enters the room and talks with
Oh,
anybody.
yeah.
Or an energy vampire, I think it was actually. But anyway, so it's definitely worth checking out. It's a lot of fun. Um, uh, what We Do in the Shadows, another horror comedy.
I've heard good things about that one as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to 2002, another werewolf movie called Dog Soldiers, and this one was a brutal one. It just basically a squad of soldiers are in the Scottish Highlands, and they're doing training exercises, and then they fight a pack of werewolves, and one by one, it's like they're getting knocked off, and so it has like a slasher thing, and it's like, and these werewolves uh, are really scary. I mean, they're not like um, all glossied up, looking. I mean, they look like they're been on the prowl for tens or hundreds of years or something. Um, and the cool thing with this has a Doctor Who thing. Sean Pertwee is that. Uh, and that was the very first time that I saw him in a movie, and I was like going, this guy looks really familiar and sounds very familiar. And then when I saw the credits, Sean Pertwee, I was like, oh wow. I mean, completely different thing than what his father has done. I mean, Sean has played in some pretty brutal kind of films, uh, both as a good guy and a bad guy. And but this was just a crazy thing. And
That's
I
another one
wouldn't
I've heard.
I
That's
wouldn't
another
say
one.
that
I
I
was gonna say
wouldn't
that's
say
another one I've heard really good things about.
yeah.
I've only seen a few little clips from it, but what I saw looked really good.
There's a lot of jump scares in it, but I think that they were done the right way, put in the right thing, not just for the sake of being a jump scare. I think that that's what I think a lot of modern horror films do because A, they probably don't have a good story, you know, and B, they don't have a good story, and C,
Plus, they're
all of
not a
the,
great story either.
yeah. And it's like, so they need to put in a jump scare. Oh, that's the way all the, and I tell people, a good horror movie is something that doesn't give you a jump scare, but gives you that unsettling feeling, and gives you a little bit of paranoia of what's in that shadow, you know what's going to jump out, or which one of us is actually a werewolf, you know. But this was a really good one. I again, I kind of say it's one of the top werewolf movies of all time. I mean, especially for modern times, it's got the gore for for your gore hounds out there. It's got the gore. I mean, it may not be like in gallons, but there's buckets of it. You know, enough to satisfy the gore hounds out there. So that is my second one. And you can, if you want to check it out before purchasing, which purchasing is we strongly encourage. It's on Prime.
Okay, so that brings us back around to me. I'm going to go with the year 2007. And, I think there have been three major adaptations of the book that this one's from. And I think we've covered the other two. I'm looking at I Am Legend, which is the Will Smith version of the movie and of the adaptation. And you know what? People gripe about it and the things they changed, the things they didn't get right, and they're 100% right. Okay, there were things that are changed, but if you look at every single one of those movies, they changed stuff from the story. None of them are faithful to the story. I think they each have their charms. They each have their issues. Um, I should mention, if you're going to watch that movie, there's that website, Does the Dog Live or whatever, for people who have problems with dogs or animals getting killed. And yes, the dog gets killed in this movie. So if you have a problem with that, in fact, for me, that was one of the hardest scenes to take in the whole movie.
Right.
Um, you know, but so if you've got a problem with that, you probably want to avoid the movie. But it's I think it's actually a really good. It gets some things right that the other ones got wrong,
Right.
and it screws up some things the other ones got right. And I think I know it's really fun to hate on Will Smith, but I actually like Will Smith's acting.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty convincing in most stuff. And I thought he did a good job in this thing. And it's a good adaptation.
Yeah, I like that one. And I know a lot of people are the main gripe is the ending that they're coming back on.
Yeah, and I can see that. And now they're doing a sequel to it.
Yeah. It's been so hopefully maybe 2027 give a 20th anniversary.
Yeah,
Or they can do it 20 years later
yeah.
story,
Yeah, I had seen that one too. It's not bad. It's like you said, it's pretty much everything you said. It's what you'd expect from a more modern version. You're gonna have more CGI and stuff,
Oh
but
yeah,
still,
there's
it's
a lot of
Yeah.
CGI.
yeah. But
I think that's what people are also saying is those creatures, uh, the CGI of them that a lot of people have problems with it. I don't because they're going, oh, they're so vampirish. I said, did you read the book?
Yeah, they're
yeah,
supposed to be. I thought they
yeah,
were a little too zombie-like, but
Yeah, and it's like I said, yeah, the kind of zombie vampires. I mean
that's the way they are in the book. Yeah, they're
kind of,
they're
yeah.
called vampires, but they do kind of act like zombies. Is how they're
Yeah.
described in the book, and that's
zompires.
But they have a lot of the same weaknesses as vampires. You can kill them with a steak.
yes,
You got garlic,
correct.
Yeah,
That's
mirrors.
how it was in the book.
That's
but
what I
it
mean.
is
Yeah.
it is good. I mean, I would go to say it's like watch all three adaptations.
Yeah,
They're all worth
each
it.
has its charms, each has its issues. I kind
Mhm.
of like them almost all equally, I think.
I what I have to say that the very first one of those adaptations that I saw was the Charlton Heston one.
That was the first one I saw as well.
Uh,
Vincent Price for me.
and I saw that one in the theater, and I didn't hear about the Vincent Price one until about 25 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, and I was like, wow, oh, cool. I mean, he's got to be one of my favorite. I would say top five uh, actors, horror actors of all time. You know, but, all right.
I would. I always thought Vincent. I like the Vincent Price version best, but I'm still not so sure he's the best. Although he is one of my all-time favorite horror actors, he's still not the best actor for that particular role. I think Charlton Heston does play it better. Will Smith doesn't do bad though. He definitely holds his own with either one.
Oh yeah. Back to you, Bill.
All right. So since you brought up Marvel Universe, let's go to the Monster Verse.
Oh,
That's what they have adapted the 2000s Godzilla and King Kong movies. And the first one that kicked all that off was Godzilla in 2014. Only title that Godzilla didn't have anything after no King of the Monsters. That comes later. Uh, so when this movie first came out, everybody loved it. And then it had this backlash because somebody with a stopwatch somewhere said, wait a minute, there's only 14 minutes of Godzilla footage in the whole movie. I see. That's awesome.
yes.
My argument about that is that I think it's better because they don't keep showing the monster the whole time. That used to be the whole thing,
There's
in the
the
older
build up.
horror movies. Build up to it. There is a monster that comes in earlier. They tease that it's Godzilla for quite a while, which actually builds the tension. There's just some great, great tension in that movie that I think can't be replicated. Um, and the acting is really good, particularly by I can't think of his name, but he was in Breaking Bad on AMC. Has a main character's part in there.
Bryan
I think it
Cranston.
was Breaking Bad. What was his name?
Bryan Cranston.
I think that's him. Bryan Cranston, yeah. And he does an outstanding job in this thing. I mean, he just steals the show. Um, but so there is another monster that Godzilla does wind up fighting. They do the apocalyptic city being destroyed aspect very well. It's San Francisco, I believe, it attacks. With both monsters battling it out in there. And I think it really does hold up. It's not a bad movie. Yes, if you get your stopwatch out, I don't know. I never got my stopwatch out, but that's what I read. Somebody got a stopwatch out and said, wait a minute, it's only 14 minutes of Godzilla footage.
Too much time on your hands, I think.
What's
Yeah,
that?
I think nitpickers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you should build up to it. It used to be the big thing was, the monster, wait for it. Now they just want it all, a good example of something like that. Where they don't show the monster, it makes it better, not worse. But anyways, what's kicked off the whole MonsterVerse thing? They have limited access to Godzilla now in the MonsterVerse, but they're kind of working around that with a lot of King Kong footage, and they still have rights to King Kong. But anyway, I think it's worth checking out. If you want to watch them all in their lineage and see how they all fit together, let's be the one to start with. And it's not a bad beginning to a franchise. I think it holds up pretty well.
And also, cool thing is Apple TV had that series Monarch, and it mentions all the 2014
Yes.
thing.
And I keep wanting to get Apple TV just for that, but I still haven't pulled the trigger on that.
Yeah, I have it, and you can get it through Prime now too, which is cool.
Oh, really? Maybe I should just buy the series.
But I like that, and I think they said they're going to have a second season. So
yeah, I have heard at least they were planning on it at one point at least.
Yeah, I mean, to me, any Godzilla content, I'll take. I mean, I even watched that silly Godzilla cartoon when it came out. Was
From
it
the 70s? Or the 90s one? Okay.
The 90s. Like
that old 70s one from Hanna-Barbera, that was actually my first introduction to Godzilla, and I was hooked from there. Believe it or not. But I had gotten the Ian Thorne books with all the pictures of the movies, and I was like, boy, I really wish I could check these out. Before you had cable and VCRs and things like that, and could stream or see anything you wanted anytime you wanted. You had to wait for it to come to your area, and it was just a big to do. But I've been a big Godzilla fan, and that was like 4 or 5 years old when that cartoon was coming out. So that's when I've been a big Godzilla fan ever since then. And I'll see him in anything. I don't care, MonsterVerse. You can tell me how bad the movies are. I'm still going. I'm still buying my ticket. I'm still going to.
Oh yeah.
I'm dragging my family too.
There you go. I mean, I think that's what a good
father is supposed to do. Like, that wasn't too bad.
I think that's what a good father is supposed to do. They're supposed to drag their kids into movies they don't want to see. That's what my dad did. My dad took us to movies we didn't want to see. Well, not so much you didn't want to see that we weren't expecting to see.
Yeah.
So some horror movies, but yeah. Good. I think we should nickname you Bill Godzilla Camp.
Kaiju Bill.
Oh no, Kaiju Bill.
There you go.
There you go.
Classic Kaiju Bill.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my next thing comes from 2007, and the way I saw them was as separate films, but in 2007 it was released as Grindhouse, and it has 2 films in it with all these mock trailers for movies. Some of them came to fruition, some of them haven't, and a lot of fans are hoping that they will, because were really good. It's like the coming soon previews and stuff like that. So so the two movies are they're directed by Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Rodriguez's one is called Planet Terror, and this is where there's a has to do with their version of zombies, which is kind of weird because they're not necessarily like the classic Romero flesh eaters, but there's something a little more. And then just the way it's done, even though it's a 2007 film, it kind of made it look like it was 1977. You know, it just had that old vibe to it all. I mean, even some of the cars were like not modern, you know. So, but it's basically there's a serum that that causes them to mutate, and if you're exposed to that gas stuff, you turn into these zombie-like creatures. Really campy, but fun, you know, like the 70s. Yeah, really, really campy. And it's a fun zombie movie. I mean, it's not like slapstick comedy zombie, but it's just the way it was done. They purposely kind of made it like a bad 70s exploitation film, and I thought they did it perfect. And then Tarantino's film is Death Proof. It has Kurt Russell. He drives around in this really souped up car. His name is Stuntman Mike, and he kills people. So with his car.
I love that movie. That movie's so much fun.
And again, it had camp, but it just did it in just such the most delightful way possible.
And killer muscle cars.
Oh yeah, muscle car. Oh, that muscle car was like, oh, you know, kind of. And again, that particular one kind of gave me that more of a 70s vibe than Planet Terror. But and I do like in Planet Terror how in the end scene it looks like it was like a matte painting going on behind them because it made it look like where they were was going on forever. Just and probably purposely done that way just to kind of give that 70s feel. And I think a lot of people that didn't grow up with the 70s films didn't really get it. And I think, and also too, the movies separately have more time into them because this, the combination of them together is like let me see how many hours. It's 191 minutes, so close to 3 hours.
Ooh.
So they couldn't do like their full length, or else it'll been probably 4 or 5 hours, you know, for the whole film. And modern audiences won't sit for that, you know. But if you want to get this version, I think is out of print, but the two movies separately, you can get them. And I recommend them both equal, you know, get them both if you can. And if you happen to come across this Grindhouse thing at a decent price on eBay or something like that, get that too, you know.
Believe it or not, I think I have that movie up in my room and I haven't watched it today.
Which one? The
Grindhouse.
Both? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so. My friend who's actually the indie wrestler that I talked about earlier, he sent it to me. He sends me movies once in a while. We send each other movies every now and again. and that's one of them. And I try to get to them, and sometimes I don't get to them. But maybe this might be the Halloween year.
Yeah,
So
there you go.
sometimes I go up, but I have movies that I purchased too that I haven't watched too that are sitting up there. To be honest, that I've had for a couple of years. But then every Halloween I bring some stuff down and decide, hey, let's watch this. I
There you go.
think I need to get to that one now.
And Halloween this year's on a Friday, so
That's right.
all right.
Back around to me then. And I'm going with a movie from 2012 that I literally only saw just a couple weeks ago for the first time. Um, and I had seen where people were saying some scientific study found it to be the scariest movie of all time. I don't think it's the scariest movie of all time, but it is very creepy. A movie called Sinister. Um, and Sinister, this author does like nonfiction stuff about like serial killers and stuff. And part of his thing is he moves in near where the houses where the murder took place was, or where the killer lived. And so he moves in his family into this house where these murders literally took place in the backyard of the house. And things start getting weird really quickly. Like from when he goes up to the attic, and there's a box in the attic with a movie projector and basically home movies of things that happened, and he starts watching those, and it gets creepy from there. So I like that they show a lot of it is those home movies. So you've got a found footage thing going on, but it's a hybrid because you've got other stuff that isn't found footage.
Hmm.
And I really like the way that worked. The movie is a little slow early on, but once it gets going, it is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen. It just the mood and the tone is so, I don't know, just it, like I say, I wouldn't say scary, but it is very otherworldly and unsettling, I think is a good word.
Sounds
Hmm.
good.
That does sound good. And you have my interest with somebody saying that it's the scariest movie of all time. Just makes me curious to see it anyway.
Yeah,
All right, so that brings it back to me, right?
correct.
That's
All
right.
right. I probably shouldn't have done two movies from the MonsterVerse, but I did. I don't know. I got in a MonsterVerse mood here. So I decided to do the first King Kong movie of that MonsterVerse, Kong Skull Island. And this one holds up very well too. This one has a really good cast. It has the guy who played Loki, so there's some uh, Marvel Universe crossover here,
Tom Hiddleston.
and it has John Goodman is in it. So they're going to. It takes place in the Vietnam era, late Vietnam, late '60s. So there's a really good soundtrack with a lot of good music going on early on, especially. And I've seen a lot of movies in Vietnam era too, because I love that era of U.S. history, and it depicts it fairly accurately compared to other movies I've seen. Anyway, it holds up with those. And so they're searching this island. I forget what they were actually looking for originally, but it's anyway, it turns out that King Kong is living on that island, and that was what they were really after to begin with. Anyway, and nobody knew, but they didn't let anybody in on this until it was too late and everybody's there. It also has, I think it's Will Ferrell is also another guy who was trapped on the island from years before and is like this old castaway guy now, still living on the island. And it's interesting because he came in and the ship that docks on the island that he came there on was the Wanderer, which was the name of the ship in the original 1930 King Kong,
Oh
1933
wow.
King Kong. So there was a cool little reference right there. And King Kong is not exactly the bad guy like he is in most of his movies, sometimes misunderstood. He actually winds up saving the people on several occasions. And of course, there's all kinds of other monsters and things that are eating people. And Samuel L. Jackson is one of the other sergeants on there. And it's PG-13, so he almost gets out his signature, MFer. But it's kind of funny because he dies. He's mother, and he dies. The monster eats him just as he's saying, which is actually one of my favorite parts of the movie. But anyway, so it's actually probably one of the better movies in the entire month, maybe arguably the best movie in the MonsterVerse series of any of the King Kong or Godzilla movies, arguably at least the best all the way around with the plot making sense, the plot not having too many plot holes, character development, and some of them get a little further out there, but they're still pretty good. Um, they do kind of have that Marvel Universe feel to them, but with kaiju. So kind of like both of those. Definitely worth checking out. And I think they also work into that Monarch series that Ron was talking about earlier from
Yeah,
Apple.
yeah, good one.
So,
All right. My next one is from 2011, and it's a slasher type Agatha Christie style movie called You're Next, and it's about this family that they're just bickering about just about everything, and a group of masked assailants come in and just start popping them up one by one, and there was this one, and at the beginning it had a scene where someone got killed, and then or someone was going to get killed, and they put in lipstick or something, wrote "You're next," and it's like, and there was one scene where they're listening to a song, and it got kept on for some reason. It got kept on hitting and repeat, and it's still to this day it's stuck in my mind. It's called "Looking for the Magic" by the Dwight Twilley Band, and it's like a power pop song, and it just they constantly play it, and it's like when the song ends, it restarts. It's like the CD player is like stuck in loop mode, and I won't tell you the ending of it. I was kind of a little clever little twist to it, but everybody was different ways that they were being killed were very inventive. It had almost like a 80s throwback vibe to it because I think everything was practical. And the guys that did it are kind of in this little group of people that includes the guy that did the X trilogy. They're all like, I guess they're all like friends, and they kind of like help each other out in the movies. But this one was really good, and I bought this movie blind, and I usually don't, especially anything after 2000. I have to watch it first somewhere and just to see it. But I bought it just based on the trailer alone, and I still love it to this day. Ever watching it, and it just reminds me of 80s slasher films. But then it's elevated because they add that Agatha Christie, like the was like 10 little Indians where each one gets knocked off, and then you finally repeat. They finally towards I want to say 3/4 or 2/3 of the way in, they kind of reveal why it's all happening, and it's pretty twisted the reason, in my opinion. But if you like slasher films and you're of our generation and you want a good slasher film, this is a great one to get. I mean, I'll put it up with the best of the 80s, put them toe to toe with that, because I think in the 90s, the slasher films kind of just got too repetitive of it. And this one kind of gave a little bit of a fresh kick, not 100% fresh, but it gave it a little fresh. And I really love it. And I have to recommend it for you slasher people out there. Yeah, you right there. So that's my pick.
All right. Coming back around to me. And this time I'm turning to 2013. And a movie with both a Doctor Who and Marvel Cinematic Universe connection in one actress, Karen Gillan, in the movie Oculus, which she plays a sister who she and her brother, their parents were killed when they were kids, and they're convinced that it has to do with this haunted mirror in the house where they lived, which they now own, but has been sitting empty. And so they decide they're going to, as adults, go in there and confront this haunted mirror. And I'm not going to go any further into it than that, but it has some really trippy stuff. It's very creepy. There's a lot of what's real and what isn't going on. It's a really cool movie.
I think I've never seen that one.
Yeah, it's another one. Sounds good. Okay, back around for me one more time. All right, my last movie is actually a concert movie. I know the T-shirt. This is what I got. Actually, I shouldn't call it a concert because a ghost show is not a concert. It's a ritual. You say you are
I
going
love
to
Ghost.
Yes, you say you are going to a ghost ritual. It's not a concert, but it is I guess would be classified as a concert movie. Right Here, Right Now came out last year. And I love Ghost. My wife did get me started on them. They definitely, speaking of the 80s, they definitely have an 80s pop sound, kind of like I've heard them classified as like satanic ABBA. I wouldn't go quite as far as ABBA.
I think
but
they're closer to like Styx meets
something
Kiss.
like that. Yeah, I could see Styx. I usually think more like maybe Poison or Cinderella or something like that.
Yeah.
Not real heavy.
A real arena rock sort of sound, vintage
Yes,
arena rock
definitely an
sound.
arena rock sound to them, which I kind of like that. And
Yeah.
some of the real metalheads, don't like that. They say, well, they're not real metal. Yeah, they're not real metal. Or they're not really satanic. Yeah, they're probably not really satanic.
It's
They do
probably
it.
just a shtick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely a shtick. It's very much tongue in cheek, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I will say the one thing I really like best about them is that there's a folklore to them. They have papas, and they've gone through. I think they're on like their fifth papa now.
Something like that.
Perpetua is the new one. He wasn't in this movie though. He comes out a little bit after this one
Emeritus
came
was the
out.
one in that one, right?
Which one?
Papa Emeritus, wasn't it?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the one. And the first one is in there too. He's the ghost, but he's dead because he's dead now. And that papa was supposedly back in the 60s. They actually have music videos that say it's like supposed to be at the Whiskey A Go Go in 1967, and they show them playing. They have everybody in the audience dressed up in 60s clothing and stuff, and in the concert.
I've got the soundtrack album, but I've yet to get the movie.
Really, yeah, it's good. It's on Prime. I know it's on Amazon Prime. We have it. We purchased it. We can watch it anytime on Amazon Prime. But it did have a limited theatrical release. I don't think it had a full theatrical release, but I think certain cities like New York and Los Angeles, I'm sure got it. Maybe a few other cities. But I don't think it had a full, coast to coast theatrical release. But it is out now. Ghost is a good band. I got my shirt at my first ritual I did this summer in July. This shirt was a little different from most of the others, so that's why I kind of picked it. It's very unusual for them. One of their songs is Ritual. It's supposed to be the most satanic song of all time. It's been rated. They took verses from a satanic Bible and made it into one of their songs. That's the song Ritual.
Oh, sweet.
So it's a basic, it's mostly a concert movie, ritual movie, but there is some story plot going on behind the scenes. Like the ghoul, the rest of the band are called ghouls. And when they're out doing like a guitar solo, he goes in the back to change clothes, and he talks with Papa One and his wife, Papa One, who's now a ghost, and his wife, and they're arguing about some of the other papas because some of them are his brothers and stuff like that. So it's like a whole folklore to it that I don't want to get too deep into the woods right here. So I might be here all night, and I'm not sure I 100% understand it myself. Still learning about it, but so there's 5 papas. They go in from album to album, and several of them are in this one. I think but they're a fun band. They don't take themselves too seriously. Some of their early work was backed by some major people. What's his name from Foo Fighters? Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters was one of the ghouls at one point on one of their concerts, and several members of Metallica actually financially backed some of their first albums too. So so they've had some passing of the torch from some legends in heavy metal and rock music. So but they're a lot of fun. I enjoy them. I enjoy their music. I like the fact that they're kind of 80s popish. Maybe I'm kind of a geek that way. I'm sorry. But if your mentioning of Marvel doesn't get us some hate mail, Ghost might just do it.
They're one of my favorite bands. So
They do. I love them. And I'm going to see Ink later in September. I got my tickets for that. So my one of my other favorite modern bands
Oh,
with
I got to
attachments.
tell you something. I don't know if anybody has noticed it that Bill actually has Godzilla behind him.
Do I have a Godzilla behind me? I think
No,
I have a parrot.
no, that that tree.
Oh, the tree.
Look at the
oh
tree
yeah,
on
it
the other
does
side.
kind of look like it.
It looks like Godzilla.
It does kind of look like it. There was
The
one in
other
our
side.
hometown a
The other
while
Oh, the
side,
back.
tree
Bill.
We were
in the
driving
backyard.
down the road
The
and it
other
looked
side.
straight up
See,
like
Oh, this
Godzilla.
tree over
this
here.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Yeah, I can kind of see it. Kind of does look like a kaiju, actually.
Yeah.
My neighbor's
yeah, there
tree
was
in the
one
back.
in our town a while ago. We were driving down the road and I was like, "Oh my God, that tree looks just like Godzilla." So I had to take a picture of it.
We had one across the street and they had to cut it because it was leaning too much into the power line.
Ooh, yeah, that's
So, but anyway, so that sounds like a good one. I mean, I like how you said how you still not figuring out. See, modern people want all the information right out in front. We like
yeah.
it where each time we see it. So each time you see it, you're going to see something new, and and and
Learn
Really
that
think
something
that's a
more.
mark of a good.
that
Yeah.
makes it more fun because you're getting more entertainment that way.
I think
At
so
least in my
too.
at least in my opinion, I think.
I agree. It gives it rewatchability because every time you watch it, it's a little different.
Yeah. All right. I am going to do a horror comedy from 2011, and this was one that I completely forgot about, but that another blind buy that I did based on the a trailer, and it's Juan of the Dead, like in
Oh,
the guy, and it's a
like
Spanish
Sean.
Cuban zombie comedy film, and I think this is their answer to Shaun of the Dead, but this one is a little darker. The whole tone of everything is darker, and you really start to feel bad for this guy Juan because everywhere he goes, zombies. I mean, he can't even catch a break. He's trying to survive, and and this is all over Cuba is where it's all taking place, um, and the guy's like the typical lazy guy, you know, and slacker, and he's basically pushed into it with all that, and it is in Spanish. It has English subtitles for any people out there that don't like foreign films. You really should kind of keep that out of your brain. Just watch this, just the whole thing. Even if you don't read along with, with the subtitles, visually, it's pretty cool. I mean, um, it is a. I put it up that I mean, if you watch Shaun of the Dead, you got to watch this one. Just to see just a different take on the same kind of a story. Um, both Sean and Juan, they were slackers. So it was the same guy, just different country. And this one is not a very well known movie. I whenever I talk to people about it, they go, "Huh? I don't never heard that one." And it's like I think I stumped you two guys too. So, but it's really good. I mean, you like zombie films, the carnage in this is uh the carnage is closer to the Dawn of the Dead remake than like any of the other Romero movies. It's just really graphic, and you know, but it's fun too. It's got a lot of funny moments, and I thought it was really really good. So I would recommend this, especially if you like a little foreign film vibe in there, and very. This is something for you, Gary, because it's very independent. I that Sanders, they made it for $3 million, so you might like it. And
That's interesting.
that is my final one.
Okay, so we're coming back around to me. And for my final film, I'm turning to 2019 for the Banana Splits movie,
Oh,
which I don't know if you guys have, if Banana Splits was still on. Well, I doubt if it was on when you were a kid, Bill. But
It was
Ron,
on
I
in
think,
reruns.
okay,
I
I would
did
say
see the
Ron, it
reruns.
probably was
Yeah.
still on when you were a kid too, maybe. But
yeah.
that show was, I would never say that I was a fan of it. Even when I was a kid, I was like, this is just kind of weird. Um, but it was bizarre, and there's something very unique about the show, and it does have a certain charm to it. Now, the premise of the movie, which you would think, they turned it into a horror movie, which you would think, what the heck? How did they do that? Well, the premise of the movie, it's basically set in an alternate universe where the show was a huge hit, and it was on the air for a very, very long time, nonstop, right? Only the banana splits are not dudes in costumes, they're animatronics. And we're taken into the filming of the what's going to be the very final episode because it's been canceled. But nobody in the audience knows it's been canceled. And something goes very, very wrong with the animatronics. So it's got a kind of Five Nights at Freddy's sort of thing. But I just think it's a really fun movie. I love how, I mean, it's dark to begin with and kind of gritty, but I love how it goes from being this real, 70s almost vibe takeoff of the banana splits to getting much darker, even in the scenes and everything. There's like one scene that you see early as it's supposed to go, and then that same thing gets redone all messed up and like horror style, which I thought was a really nice touch too. I just think it's a very fun movie.
It was very much like Five Nights at Freddy's, actually, which I might have to cover at some point.
Yeah, I've not seen that one, but I've heard good things.
I have, yeah. They do the animatronics thing. They probably inspired by it anyway.
Isn't it strange that also from our childhood they did Banana Splits, they did Winnie the Pooh,
Yeah.
and I saw, but I was just flipping around just to see horror movies from the 2000s. Just recently, like this year, there's Popeye the Slayer Man.
Yeah.
And I
I
think
did.
there's one or two other Popeye ones coming
Yeah,
out this
when
year
I saw
too.
that, I was like, going, "Oh
Well,
my God, you're just
the reason,
killing our
yeah, and
childhood."
there's also like two or three Steamboat Willie because
Yes,
uh,
Yeah,
Popeye
yeah,
and the Mickey Mouse and Steamboat Willie are now public domain. That's why they could
right.
do
And
some of this Popeyes.
there's also with the Pooh movies, that's going to be the Pooniverse, I think it's called. And they're doing a whole bunch of connected ones. There's a Peter Pan one.
Okay.
Um, there's Bambi, which is coming out or is out, has been come out. There's a Bambi one where Bambi's a killer deer.
oh my
Um,
God,
and they're going to
you
pull
know.
all these together. I don't remember what the other ones are, but they're going to pull them all together into a like an MCU kind of universe.
Hmm.
You know,
So
I mean, it's kind of cool, but it's like, geez, it's like it's got to be done by these people that never saw it, and or their parents saw it, and then they actually saw the thing and go, "Huh, I'm gonna ruin my parents' childhood."
I
Let's
I like seeing
let's do it.
variations on
Let's
things
do
I'm
it.
familiar with.
It's like let's do it. Let's ruin it.
Yeah, I like seeing variations on things I'm familiar
Oh
with.
yeah,
I like it
I
when they take it and twist it around. I
I
think
don't
that's a
mind it.
really cool thing.
I mean,
It can work.
I mean, when I first saw that the Winnie Pooh the Pooh thing, I'm like going, oh my god, you're taking something sacred and you're
Well, Disney never really owned Winnie the Pooh. That was a book before Disney even got it. So that probably
right.
went into the public domain before any of the Disney Winnie the Pooh stuff. Bambi's a little surprising. I'm not sure when that goes into public domain, but I thought that was actually a Disney thing, but I don't know. Maybe it's got something. But Peter Pan, of course, is not technically not Disney. That was
Right.
a story that was long predates the Disney version.
Right.
Yeah, the one that's surprising, I don't know what the ownership of a Bambi. If there was a Bambi before Disney got to it, maybe there was. I don't know.
Maybe there
Maybe
was. I
somebody
don't know.
can maybe somebody can say that in the comments if they know the
Yeah.
history of
Yeah.
Bambi. And if Bambi the deer was predates the Disney versions of it.
And I think the Bambi one is, I think the title is Bambi the Reckoning, if I remember right. But
Well, they can't be as good as Godzilla versus Bambi. I love that movie.
oh, that was great.
Next time you got
That's
a
an
minute and a
absolute
half to
classic.
kill. Fine.
Looks like your Godzilla is leaving now.
Yeah, when after you said it, it looked like he had eyes too. It's getting
Yeah.
He had eyes and like teeth and the.
Hey, if you knew how to do it, CGI, you can like in your camera have it.
Yeah, just enhance it a little.
Have them talk. You could be like your sidekick or something. But hey, this has been great. We've got 15 films for you all to check out. And like we say in every other thing, if you have 5 future classics, 21st century classics from the year 2000 to current date, you have something that you think we haven't seen, drop it in the comments because we're always looking for new movies to watch.
Yep.
Definitely. Especially this time of year, now that we're coming into September and October.
Yes. Yes.
Or as I always say, spooky's a lifestyle, not a season.
It is, but I do personally, I tend to turn it up a notch in September.
Oh, yeah.
October, starting in September.
Yeah, it's always cool when the rest of the world is on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
but do you know that this is just going to be a little pet peeve? Have you just noticed that it seems to be a trendy thing to be into Halloween?
Yeah,
whereas
does.
We grew up it was just a part of our lives, and then when we started watching horror movies, more than most people, it just became kind of our lives where it's like it was an everyday thing, and then here's people coming in, and they're like going like, no one's discovered horror movies before me.
Yeah. It's that whole we were there first, and
Yeah.
we were often looked down upon for being there, and now suddenly it's cool. It's the same thing with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It was like I remember when I was reading comic books, and it was like I was the stupid comic book geek, and now all of a sudden everybody knows those characters, and they're huge,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, this is the cool thing. It's like I was there. I went through getting bullied over it, and it's like
Exactly.
Yeah, we were looked down upon. Oh, you like that stuff?
Yeah.
Why aren't you out there playing football or baseball?
Yep.
You rather stay home reading comics? Yeah. You rather stay home watching movies? Yeah. But anyways, that was just my little pet peeve. I mean, I'm sure someone's going to say something about that in the comments, and just got to understand our generation. It was something almost part of our DNA, because a lot of the stuff that newer people are discovering back then is like the time, just like people maybe 25, 30 years from now do the same to them, say, hey, we saw the 2025 movie when it came out. You just saw it in 2030 or no, 2050. You just saw it 25 years later for the first time, but I saw it when it was first released. And I think there's something special about that we got to see a lot of these movies, whether it was on the big screen or the small screen, for the very first time.
And you really had to be conscious of them back then. You know, it's
Yeah.
like I talked about before, everything wasn't just available in streaming or even DVD or VHS. You had to I used to get the TV guide every week and scour it for horror movies every week,
Oh yeah.
especially around September and October to see what was on. Uh, you know, you don't have to do that anymore. Now you can just stream whatever anytime you want. You know, we can go down any
Yeah.
rabbit hole you want anytime. You had to wait months, sometimes years for this stuff to come back on television.
Oh yeah.
And stay up late at night when you weren't supposed to and sneak out of your bed in the middle of the night to watch them because that's the times they were on. It was on at 3 a.m. You had to get up at 3 a.m.
Oh,
and watch it.
my brother and I had a TV in our bedroom, and we had to when we wanted to watch something late at night, we had to turn it on. They had to turn it on.
Yeah.
But
I've
my
done that.
mom always saw the blinking lights coming
Right.
and everything. And goes, "You guys need to go to bed." Okay, we will in a little bit. We're just waiting for this one part. That was our thing. We're just waiting for this one part. Then we'll go to bed. 1 hour, 2 hours later, that one part.
Yeah, that one part's the very ending, just before the credits.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we've got some good movies for the people out there to check out. And we will see you on the next one.
All right.
Yep. Bye.
Thank you very much for watching this episode. And stay tuned for the next one.